Welcome to SCivCast, a civilization podcast focused on its social media platforms.
Angel Ledwich,
Diann Mabury,
JonG,
MicahD.
Oh, it was embarrassing. I got called boobies by a spy. They wanted my attention, and so they went to, they private messaged me, and I guess I was alert enough that I actually went and talked, and they called me boobies, and I was like, oh, this must be someone I know, but they wouldn't tell me who they were.
From my friend George, and he wanted to know, is there any idea why certain games do not populate?
Speed of the game?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think it's critical mass. People like to join a game in the earlier era. If they see a certain number of other people there, they'll jump in and it gains momentum. You have to join a game where there's about maybe a dozen people in an early era, and if a group of you join, others will follow on and naturally gain momentum, so you can end up in a big game that way. That's what I've found anyway, particularly when teams been hunting for a video game. Do what I said basically, and others will join as well.
Yeah, I've joined a game where I didn't know anyone in there. I just allied one person in that game, and I just enjoy watching them battle, and I wanted to watch how they do it. You know, I wanted to study how they battle, and no one else in that game. I had no friends in that game. And me just being in there, a few friends that were a bit bored, you know, they had finished a game. They were like, hey, what are you doing in that game? And I'm like, oh, nothing, just watching someone battle. And they were like, hey, can I come watch? I'm like, sure.
That is another thing that happens with the game, that if you've got a lot of friends, they'll see you in a game and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, people on your friends list suddenly start appearing in the game. And you can either join your team to play with you or form another team to play against. Good if you want a competitive game. If you want a quiet game to yourself, a nice quiet farming game, in which you just use get more playing off the ball box, it can be a pain. You know, if you've got a lot of friends, that's just one of the things that happens.
Hi, PawPrint42 here. On February 28, 2013, we received news from Civilization World that they will be closing the game down. This came as an announcement on their main Civilization World Facebook feed, which has been inactive for several months now. A posting as of today read, "Rulers of great civilizations repent. The world is coming to an end. CivWorld will shortly cease operations and flow into the ethers. Forever a fond memory of great triumphs. The last day for players to get more CivBucks using Facebook credits will be April 2nd, 2013. The last day of CivWorld will be accessible is May 29th, 2013. We thank you for the time you've spent with CivWorld and beseech you to stay civilized on the other side." This announcement has thrown the entire CivWorld community into panic and turmoil, and we don't know how the next few months are going to play out. Hopefully we can still have several more podcasts with high-end community members giving last thoughts on the game. And now, back to Angel.
What are the first things you guys look at when you log in? What do you recommend people look at first when they log into the game? Let's say, you know, you started playing the game, you're kind of new at it, you walked away from the game for a day, and then you came back in. Do you just go and start harvesting, or?
I would check where your science is, my first thing, because I don't want to be that one who steps wrong and not finished yet, because that's very embarrassing.
I wouldn't recommend that people do anything in particular. They should do what they want. But it might be useful to know what other people do. The first thing I check is the market to see if prices of great people have dropped dramatically, or commodities are high or low. Same for resources. And if I can, I'll exploit anything I find. And then I will check to see who else is online in my team or other nations. That tells you what it's safe to transfer on the market, what you should avoid.
Yeah, I do that too.
First, I check the market for cheap great persons, and if I have played a while, I'll try to get an overview of the actual game situation. So, which era we are in? Are we behind in tech? Are we forward?
Then you kick our butts at the caravan.
I don't like caravans.
I just like that you're there all the time, Micah.
I think mostly for me the next step is to use my puzzle steps, because I play with teams, we all do with double steps with 5 times, and we spread around a lot that way. I don't want to pop a great person with over 50 steps, so this is mostly the next step.
I always feel terrible when there's nobody online and I can't tell, I'm going to use some of my double swaps and I'm going to end up rolling someone's great person, but it's like I had these to use and no one was online, and I'm like Diann, I don't want to be that one who pops a tech by accident, but I do like checking the market first too, and I like to see what auction is up. Maybe I can just grab a quick auction if nobody else is paying attention to it and it's at the end of the auction. That's always fun too.
Oh, the other thing is if everybody else is asleep, caravan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only if everybody else is asleep.
Yeah, for you and me.
When everybody else is asleep, it's got to be double swaps.
Mm.
Not worried about rolling somebody else's great person. It's up to them to keep their swaps down. I just want to avoid losing swaps and to get an empty puzzle when it's easy to do it on your own without having to worry about who's looking over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm. That's very true, because people just love to mess up your double swaps or take them. They like to steal them, and if there's a bunch of people on there, they'll do it. And, it's part of the game.
Yeah, you should expect people to steal double swaps. It's not a case of my puzzle. You go in there and people will and should take any swaps they see. So you've just got to try and be sneaky and quick and expect it to happen.
And do it when they're asleep. And do you find being in Europe that's easier?
Yeah, that...
The Americans start coming on about midday. And it's more difficult to do the puzzle, definitely.
Do you like to set your battle times for when we're asleep?
That's an interesting thing. It's got to be done.
I know. It's okay. We forgive you. I've been asked, what nation do I join? I'm like, well, is Egypt available? And I'm trying to remember, like, the nations that don't need votes, and I don't really know all that much about the different nations. And I'm like, dude, just join a nation where you see a lot of green lights on. That's my recommendation. If you see some green lights on, join that nation. That's what I suggest, because those people will probably be on during the time that you're going to be available. So, I'm East Coast, and it's easier for me to play with other East Coasties as opposed to, the Europeans. But if there's green lights on, we can all tech tree at the same time. We can all coordinate wonders at the same time. And if you're a beginner, just trying to be on there at the same time as others is key. Even if they won't communicate, at least they're on there with you. You can follow them around.
At the moment, I'm mostly playing with Americans in my guild, so the battles are timed for them. But the puzzle steps are easier sometimes. There's a kind of, dead time in the game where Americans went to sleep and many Europeans aren't online because on their way to work or busy at work. So if you can play in that time, you often have the game for you alone and can do all the puzzle you want with your auctions. I even can win caravans, although I'm very bad at them. Because there are sometimes some hours where nobody is online.
Yeah.
Except me.
Mika's an art person. Give him a puzzle any day. I've seen your whole town be purple.
Yeah.
But that's handy too. On your teams, do you like having like one art person, one science person, one hammer person? Do you guys prefer playing it that way?
I'm more concerned with people's time zone. If people want to concentrate on hammers or science, that's fine. Normally we don't worry about people concentrating on arts. If they want to do it, they can. If they don't, it's not a problem. It's more about having people at varying time zones so that you can do things at different times of the day. For me, it's anyway.
I'm always worried about trying to get everyone to have the minimum gold before I leave or the minimum science before I leave. And I'm like, if I'm not around, go ahead and do a golden age, We all have the minimum gold. We can do that. Or go ahead and do what's the science one?
Voyage of Discovery.
Yeah. Voyage of Discovery. And I often don't get the chance to do all that swapping around on the market because there's always somebody there. Those slow games are good for that kind of thing, but one of the throwback games where someone's always there watching the market, it's hard to swap, give everyone the science they need or the gold they need for that.
Well, it needn't be that hard. All you have to do is swap at market value. If you've got enough gold, you can swap with whatever you want, and it's virtually impossible for people to take advantage of it or stop it.
So you just try to keep it at the same level it's at?
Keep it at the market price, yeah.
We've tried different things, and I found Skype is the best way to do it when you want to keep it at market price. But like I was like, okay, find a song, and you know the beat of the song. I was like, that's what we'll trade at, is that beat.
Kind of like Art of Staying Alive, huh?
That's a good one too. That's a good song. Everyone knows that song.
We've been talking about communication in the previous recording session, and I'd be interested to hear about people's first experiences of communicating in the game when they first discovered CivWorld, also working alongside other new people. Did you find it frustrating, helpful, or what?
I found it pretty frustrating. Trying to use nation chat, and you would have people that wouldn't check it, or I find sometimes that the chat is empty, and you have to re-log in a few times showing up. So discovering Facebook chat and groups and friends was like this whole new world for me. It was just yay, you know.
I played a very long time as a noob. When I first entered the game, it was active. There was a little communication in word chat and also giving some hints like place your houses next to trees and water, this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when some guild players met me, picked me up and said, oh, let's communicate on Facebook, friend me there, we'll make a Facebook chat. And it was way more intense, and I really understood how to play as a team. This didn't work before. Don't know if it was only because of the game chat or because I didn't meet the right players.
So it was mostly luck. You found someone who was willing to show you that.
Yeah, it was luck.
Same here. I was in some game and Rom told me to place a great person, and I was like, okay. But he told me in global. You know, he told me all this stuff in global, and I'm like, okay, I'll just, I would just do it because someone's willing to talk to me. Woohoo, you know. And and then he finally said, yeah, we have this whole group. I'm going to add you to Facebook if it's okay. And at first I was really hesitant because I was kind of under the belief that the internet is dangerous and be careful. But after a while, I guess I got kind of not worried or just used to friending people or unfriending them. It wasn't a big deal to me anymore. And luckily, I've never had any truly awful things happen because I friended someone. But it is something you should always be careful of. Women and men, they should always be willing to contact 2K or contact Facebook if they feel in any way in danger. That's pretty much the only, I think, problem with friending people you just meet in a game, whether it's this game or another game online.
I've been playing Civ 4 for a while. I've played Civ for many years. I was very conscious that diplomacy played a big part of Civ 4, and I was under the misguided impression that it was very formulaic in the same way that it was in Civilization, the PC game. So I didn't actually realise that, it was just basically like internet chats and social networking. That confused me a little. Then I found we had problems because people weren't actually communicating. There'd be the occasional chatting global. Sometimes somebody would answer you in team chats or nation chat, and other times there'd be no communication whatsoever. Whereas when I got to play with proper team, it's a whole different world. People talking to each other all the time and using it to play as one team as opposed to separate individuals, which is the big thing about the game. But if you play as an individual, it's difficult to learn at the very least. Whereas if you play as one part of a team that's working together, it's a hell of a lot more enjoyable and a whole lot easier.
And I liked your word diplomacy. Even with us, we all use the Facebook chat and we all have our little teams. Any game that we're in, we'll try to find one of each other and we'll team up. But every now and then, you'll have people that have never played together before, but you've played with each of them and you're all on the same team. And now you've got one person who wants to do, pointy stick tech. I want to get the most battle efficient things as quickly as possible. I'm not a battler, but they want to get to those really strong armies as quickly as possible. But by doing that, sometimes you are giving up the chance to lock in some wonders on the wonder screen. Sometimes you're giving up the chance to get a scientific era because you're going straight for those battle-efficient weapons. I've had even people that they didn't want a certain kind of arrow for the battle. I was like, okay, guys, just give me a second. And so I had to, find someone who was outside the game that I trusted as a battle efficient person. I laid it all out, and they told me what they felt, and then I came back to the group and I said, okay, this is what I feel, and now we have to decide. And so people have to sometimes lay down their wants for other people. Sometimes it's give and take. Diplomacy plays a huge effect on whether or not your team will be able to get through those decisions to even win an era. Sometimes it'll even cost you an era if you can't decide quickly enough, which I've seen happen.
Why in most teams I've played with, we nominate somebody who's going to take the lead role in running and deciding on battles, someone who's going to take the lead role deciding on technology and research goals, and if not one of those two people, somebody else who makes the overall decisions. So you've got basically three people that defer to each other and everybody else on the team defers to make decisions, so we can all act as one rather than everybody wanting to do something and pulling in different directions.
And I really do like that idea, and I've used that with you, and it works really great with people who know what they're doing. But sometimes you get randoms in the game who think they know better, or they think they know something and won't go along. And that's when it gets really frustrating for players who've been playing a long time, because they don't know all the different little aspects, and they're just going from the one that they know of. So sometimes you lose patience. I mean, I know I've lost patience several times, and it'll make players like us only stick to games
with other players.
Yeah, with other advanced players. You know, I've recently gone to a few of the more newbie games and found I have actually rage quit one of them and out of frustration.
I don't think it's actually the most important thing to have the best person doing science or the best person doing military. It's more important than that is have everybody follow the lead of the nominated person. Even if you think that you could make a better decision, it's better to defer to that person and follow them, as long as they don't make really big mistakes or make really frequent mistakes, because check your egos at the door if you want your team to succeed. I think that's a big thing.
Yes, I like that one too. Have you guys ever been stuck in Civ Purgatory? That's my own term, you know, when you're stuck in a Civ game and you've got eras and eras and eras ahead of you and the tech tree is all maxed out. You've lost wonders in the game. They've gone obsolete and they've been lost to the game, and now all you have left is battles. What do you guys do for that?
Phone a friend. Or 10. Yeah, battles. Meaningless battles. Well, not meaningless to give you an era, but...
If you're a noob and you don't have many friends in the game, and you're in a game of like 3 people, because they do exist, not much you can do except quit the game, right?
Well, you need lots and lots of gold.
Yep, you could do econ rolls. Very good. Okay, anything else?
With 3 players only, it's hard. I've been in games, teams, where we didn't have other eras than equal left. And what we did was selling sites for 9 huge amounts, because some people amazing together. With the internet, you basically have unlimited moves, sell signs for 9, do puzzle and try to get golden ages to get the equal eras.
I've not been in that situation too many times, but I wouldn't feel compelled to finish the game. If one of your players has dumped up the 50 civ bucks for the game, you have to understand that you finish it. Apart from that, I don't feel a burning urge to win the 25 civ bucks for winning or to complete the game. You set your goals, and when you decide you've done all you can, the game ceases to be fun, so why stay in it? You've done all you can, that's it. Let somebody else finish the game.
And that works for games that you did not start yourselves. I think an important thing we should mention is that if you create a game and you don't finish that game, you end up leaving the game, 2K won't let you start another one. I didn't know that till a month ago, and luckily I haven't started a game and then not finished it, so but I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I did that, and I couldn't create another custom game for 6 months.
Oh.
I had no idea what was going on or why it wasn't working until somebody told me that. I'd long left the game I'd created, and somebody told me, sorry, that game's got to finish before we can do another. What can I do about it? I'm stuck. It's done. Go, live and learn.
So I've gotten a few shout-outs, a phone from friend, and they're like, please help me finish this game or I can't start another one. I've had to in a few games and be a warm body. Just sit in a Civ so I can attack you and win. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
That's kind of fun sometimes. I don't mind doing it.
How people can get 3 game slots available instead of just 2?
It's not easy, but it's simple. You just have to get your Mona Lisa and score 1,000 fame in one game. although it has been reported that people have managed to do it in a different way. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but there is another way, but I'm not familiar with it.
I'm pretty sure I got mine before my Mona. It's like, wow, I can play free now. I can really pay attention to what happened just before that.
Yeah, my guild had we had joined a game, I think, with the intention of playing it normal, but then found that people quit the game rather quickly because they realized we were freight training our way through to coin rob, and so they left the game. And so we're like, oh, well, now we're in this game, we might as well, go for like our Mona Lisas. Are there anybody in the team that needs their Monas? And there was like 4 or 5 of us that had not gotten it. We just hightailed it, I guess, to, what's that wonder?
Hollywood.
Yeah, hightailed it to Hollywood, and were able to get, I think, at least 4, if not all 5 of the people that needed it, their 1,000 fame points. But it does take work. It does take a team, I think. I don't know if I've ever seen someone do it on their own.
It's easy enough to get 1,000 points. If you create a game for 50 $50,
Oh.
set the parameters, it's only you, and you win all the eras, time and patience, it's easy enough to get 1,000 fame in a game that way.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it costs you 25 $50 because, of course, you win it yourself as well.
That's right. That's right. What have you all found, either as a independent player or as a small team, that you can do when facing a whole nother nation of multis? One person who has developed several gaming accounts and they put them all in the same nation. Have you guys ever had to just leave a game, or what do you guys usually do?
Are they any good?
That's your first question, yeah.
If you're on your own, you've got a problem. If you're part of a team, many pairs of eyes, brains and hands, whereas they've only got one. If you play together as a good team, you can outclass them every time. So it's not a problem. They're at a disadvantage, not you.
Do you recommend even talking to them and explaining that it's kind of frowned upon, or do you just let them do what they want to do? Is it an actual rule in Civ that you're not supposed to have multis?
I believe it's part of the 2K terms and conditions that you don't use multiple accounts. But telling them that isn't actually going to make any difference. It might annoy them. There's no point in talking to them about it. The best thing I think you can do is just play them and prove that they've made the wrong choice, that they would be better off if they were in a team than playing with lots of different players of those.
I also think it depends on the game. Like if you're in an organized, like a throwback game, like what happened a while ago, that's set up for a purpose for the community, and if they come in and try to cover the game that way, that gets people much more wound up. Whereas if you just, you're hopping around from game to game and there's a bunch there, but it's no real organized game, then you can just move on. Let them have their little, sandbox to play in, basically.
So basically, if a whole nation of multis joins a game that's kind of high maintenance and people say something, just recognize that there's no way you can make the multi leave. As a group, you all can beat them, just the way John said. So it does depend on the game. If it's a slow game, no one really cares that much.
I don't think that it can be an adventure, actually. Sometimes you do a lot of transferring, and if you can catch that, because you have to log in one account, they're low.
Yeah.
Other accounts are high again. Interfere that, can make a lot of money. So it's not necessarily a lost game, even if you don't can call friends in, if you play against multis. But it can be disturbing. I had this game once where I had to leave my team because there was a multiplayer in, and he brought his multis to sabotage other teams, and I didn't want to play this way, so it can be a pain.
Team players and guild players tend to forget most individual players don't draw a distinction between a guild or a type team or one person using multiple accounts. It's all the same to them. They find them, they're just as difficult and no more and no less troublesome. That's not something I think we should remember.
Family impacts, kids and spouses. And my son just came in and told me to be quiet.
Last night I was trying to do this, and my kid's 9 o'clock, and I asked my husband specifically, I said, all right, I'm going to go start this. It's 8 o'clock. Do you have the kids? You'll put them down to bed. He goes, yes. Well, of course, the kids then came in the bedroom and had to give me a goodnight kiss and say goodnight to all of the people on the cast. And, it's like, I thought for sure I told him I was going to be busy. But, nothing can stop the children. Unfortunately, I think those of us with small children or, needy husbands, we are always going to be at their beck and call, ultimately. It's about finding that time in the evening where you would normally just be sitting on the couch watching TV. I don't know. What else do people do in the evenings when they're bored? They go out to the pub? John, do you go to the pub?
Oh, yeah.
So when your wallet won't support going to the pub, you can play on the computer.
My wallet can always support a few pints down the pub.
Oh, excellent. I'm coming to England.
Funny, my husband, he calls me an addict. He just spent 2 weeks finishing Grand Theft Auto Jump. That's okay. So we all have our things, and what's nice is I'm including him in some of the CivWorld stuff, so he has some concepts, and he will play occasionally, but he's not nearly as tied in as we are.
Yeah, that's a shame, because he's an amazing caravaner.
He is. He's got that gigantic, Marvin brain.
Yeah. And he did sneak on there that one time, play your game. That was terrible. Terrible. But you are a little addicted. You guys went fishing, and you had to take your computer with you.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we have Wi-Fi when we're fishing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can hop in, after the weather's cruddy, we get done early. So that's nice.
I get so angry when I have to leave the house, take my children to a doctor's appointment, and I get there and I've got the laptop and I go, do you have Wi-Fi access? And they go, no. And I look at them, I'm like, really?
Well, there's a way to get it on your phone now.
No.
Dare I spill it in the podcast?
Oh, well, I have a cheapy phone. Will it work with cheapy phones?
I get it on my Android.
I don't have it.
Tiny. It's really hard to, manipulate things, but in a pinch, it could work.
I'm going to have to research that, because I have to leave the house way too often nowadays.
Sometimes collapses real life. Stuff to be done in the game, and I think what makes it so addictive and so difficult is that you don't play on your own only, but in a team. So say, I want to do this for the team and that, and one more maze here, and jump in there and do puzzle. And this is what takes the time. It's harder to stop than playing the PC version of Civilization. Can save, say, okay, I'll play another time.
Yeah, you can walk away at any second and come back.
These aren't just faceless avatars we're playing with. We're playing with actual people that we care about and friends, and we don't want to let them down.
So the personal investment becomes really the problem of being able to walk away. And sometimes I have to take that into account before I even start a game. Am I going to have the time that these particular people are going to want from me? And I'll tell them right off the bat, maybe you're going to want me as an indie player. I'll just give you my gold because I won't be able to play in the team. I won't be able to be there for vote. And I think that has burned a lot of us out from playing the hardcore games because we're just like, wow, I'm just so tired. I can't stay up till 3 a.m. anymore.
Yeah, I remember getting up at midnight for battles and then, trying to work the next day. I'm not doing that anymore. Last week I didn't play. They probably were like, what happened to Diann? But I had to study for the ham test. If that's done, now I can get into a heavy-duty game again.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'm a nerd.
We have that book next to my husband's side of the bed. He hasn't even really cracked it open. He hasn't really taken the time. That's okay.
It wasn't as hard as I thought.
Yeah? He got his boating license. I'm hoping it's easier than getting your boating license.
Boating license, like online, and that was open book, basically. But Oregon.
There's nobody in Oregon.
Yeah.
And now we have JonG's voice on recording. Woo! I love British accents. Okay. I do. I'll just re-listen to this episode all the time. Okay.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. The files.
Good night, guys, or good day. I'll see you guys in game.
I'll see you all online.
Oh, yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Record date February 3rd, 2013.
Civilization World sound clips, copyright Take-Two Interactive. Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.